Hi, my name is Robert Simpson. I'm an engineer with the Apple Valley Fire Protection District, and today we're going to review the pre-trip on a Type 1 apparatus. I like to begin my pre-trip with stepping back from the vehicle and getting a good general impression. I'm making sure I'm on flat ground and the vehicle is not tilted. This would indicate possible broken springs or suspension failure. Next, I'm going to get low. I want to identify if there's any leaks or anything hanging from the apparatus. I also want to ensure that everything is secure and that nothing is in disposition from where it necessarily needs to be. Moving to the front of our apparatus, we're going to inspect our marker lights. We're going to ensure that they're clean, functional, and secure. Moving down, we're going to check our windshields. We're checking that they're clean and that they're clear, and there's no cracks or chips greater than 3/4 inch in diameter. Moving to our windshield wipers, we're going to ensure that they're secure and they're functional, and that we have a good wiper blade on both sides. Moving to our grills, we're going to ensure that they're clean and they're clear and free of debris. Moving to our blinkers, we're going to ensure that our left turn signal is clear, it's functional, and secure. Again, our right blinker is clear and clean, functional, and secure. Moving down to our headlights, we're going to inspect our low beams, that they're clean, functional, and secure, as well as with our high beams. Moving to our front bumper, we're going to ensure that the front bumper is secure and all hardware is present. Next, we're going to inspect the driver's mirrors. We're going to ensure that they're secure, they're clean, they're clear, there's no cracks, and that they're adjusted to the driver's position, and they have full vision of the load and roadway behind them. Next, I'm going to move over to a 4-way flasher inspection. I'm going to turn on the batteries, turn on my 4-way flashers. I'm going to ensure that I have a left and a right flasher on the front. I have my side flasher. I have a left and a right flasher. Proceed to shut off the flashers. Next, we're going to inspect our cab doors. We're going to ensure that they're functional, they open freely. We're going to check that they're secure, hinges are secure, and strap is secure. We're going to ensure that it closes nicely and that it is lockable. This inspection will apply to all cab doors at this time. Next, we're going to move to our compartment doors. We're going to use the same technique, ensuring that they're open with ease, the hinges are secure, the gas shock is secure and functional, that the compartment door is lubed. We're going to check the lockability. This type of inspection applies to all compartment doors on the rig. Next, we're going to check the side windows of our apparatus. We're going to make sure that they're clean, clear, and functional with no cracks. This applies to all side windows of the apparatus. Next, we're going to inspect all emergency lights of the front of the apparatus. We're going to ensure for functionality, they're clean and secure to the vehicle. Now we're going to pan along the side of the vehicle and check the emergency lights and use the same criteria, that they're clean, functional, and secure. We're going to move on to inspecting an engineer panel. As an engineer, we want to ensure that we have a clean panel to work with, that everything's secure and in position, and that is in the state of readiness. We're also going to check our lights, that we have a lit panel, and that anything that might be out of position is taken care of prior to an incident. Next, we're going to inspect our front tires. we're going to look for condition, inflation, and depth. CID is the acronym. In the condition, we're checking for any cuts or punctures to the sidewall and looking at there's no separation of the tread. We're also going to check the inflation of the tire, and that's indicated by the sidewall of a maximum pressure or the B post of the vehicle. Lastly, we're going to check our depth. On a front steer tire, we shall have no less than 4/32 of an inch in tread depth. Moving to our wheel and rim assembly, we're looking for any spider, cracking, or dusting of any component of the wheel. We're physically checking to make sure all lug nuts are secure and they're present. Lastly, we're going to check the metered fluid level of our hub or axle level. Next, we're going to move to the rear tires of our apparatus. This has dual wheels in the rear, so we'll be checking the inner and the outer. Same acronym applies: condition, inflation, and depth. We will be checking for any punctures, cuts, or separation of tread on both wheels respectively. Additionally, check for any rocks or debris stuck between the duals as a part of your condition check. You're also going to check for inflation. Again, you can find that on the sidewall of the tire or on the B post of the vehicle. And lastly, we're going to check the depth. On the rear tires, there shall be no less than 2/32" in tread depth remaining. Moving to your rim, you're checking for any cracks, spidering, or dusting in any component of the rim. You're also checking each lug nut physically to ensure that they're secure and that they're present. You're looking for any noticeable leaks or hub seals that might be leaking at this time too. Next, we're going to inspect our fuel cap. We're going to ensure that's secure and there's no leaks. Next, we're going to inspect all of our marker lights on the apparatus. We're going to check that they're clean, functional, and secure. We're also going to check our DOT required reflectors, that they're secure and that there's no damage to them. Moving to our gearbox, we're going to ensure that it's secure, there's no missing hardware, all the hoses are securely attached, and there's no leaks coming from any one of them. We're going to ensure that it's lubed at the steering knuckle and that we don't have any leaks coming from the body of the steering box itself. We're also going to check for any excessive play within the box. Next, we're going to inspect our pitman arm. We're going to ensure that it's secure, no hardware is missing, there's no additional bends or cracks to this hardware, that it is lubed at all Zerk fittings, and we're going to check for excessive play. Moving to our drag link, we're going to ensure that it is secure, there's no missing hardware, that there's no additional bends or cracks. We want to ensure that it is lubed, and we're checking for any excessive play. Moving to our spring suspension system, there are multiple types of springs that you can have: airbag springs or leaf spring springs. On this particular apparatus, they have leaf springs. While doing your checks, you want to ensure that everything is secure. All hardware, brackets, and hangers are securely fastened to the frame. There should be no broken leaf springs or cuts to airbags. No bends or cracks to leaf springs or the hangers or brackets attached. Ensure U-bolts are tight. Ensure all hardware is present. And check the shock, brackets, and hardware, ensuring there's no leak from the shaft of the shock. Moving to our front axle, we're going to ensure that it's secure through the U-bolts and the hardware attached. We're ensuring that no hardware is missing and nothing is loose. We're also looking at the axle itself, looking for any additional bends or cracks that might exist. We want to move over to our kingpins and our spindles. We're looking to ensure that they're lubed and there's no play. You can achieve this by having an operator turn the steering wheel and looking for play between the spindle and the axle. Moving to our tie rod, we're going to inspect that it is secure. There's no missing hardware. We're looking for any bends or cracks that might exist. We're going to ensure that it is lubed at our ball joints. And we're checking for excessive play. Next, we'll be inspecting our front brake system. We're going to inspect the drum or the rotor. In this case, this has a rotor, which is a disc brake foundation brake system. We're looking for excessive heat cracks or wear or signs that the rotor has been overheated. We're also looking for any chunks or pieces missing from the rotor or the drum itself. Also, moving to the pad thickness, it is very hard to see on a disc brake system the thickness of the pad. The manufacturer of this caliper has an indication pin that shows you what the pad remaining. When this pin is flush with the caliper, the pad is out of service. Also checking that all hardware is present on the brake caliper and on the rotor assembly. We're going to check the brake hoses for any chafing, soft spots, or cuts. Moving to the actual ABS wire sensor, that there's no cuts and that it's intact. Next, we're going to inspect our brake chamber. Our brake chamber on this particular application is used in conjunction with a caliper. There's no way to check for slack in this type of actuation. Just ensure that your hardware is present and that your hoses are securely fastened to your brake chamber. When checking for slack adjustment on an S-cam drum style brake, there's two things to take in note: the size of the can and the maximum travel. The size of the can will dictate the maximum travel. Refer to the chart on the side of the video. This is a 20-inch can, and what we'll be doing is checking for maximum slack. We'll find a fixed point on the slack adjuster. This is at 3 inches. Have an operator apply the brakes. Apply, ensuring that it does not go beyond 2 inches. Here it measures at 4 7/8, showing there's a net difference of 1 inch and 7/8. This is still in service. Moving to our drive shafts, we're going to inspect that they're secure and that all hardware is present. And this applies to all drive shafts on the vehicle, front and rear. We're also looking for any missing weights that might have come off due to centrifugal force or damage to the driveline. We're checking for play in all directions. We're making sure that all components are lubed. Moving to our air storage tanks, we're going to check that they're secure, all hardware is present, there's no damage or leaks to the exterior of the metal tank, and we're also going to drain the tanks for any condensation. This one's equipped with an automatic drain valve. Ensure that it's not leaking. We're going to do the same for the primary tank in the rear here. Moving to our exhaust system, we're going to ensure that it is secure, all hardware is present, that all hangers and brackets are securely fastened. Starting from the exhaust manifold all the way out to the tailpipe, we're inspecting for any exhaust leaks, evident by dusting, which would indicate a black dusting mark coming from a joint. Also, inspect for any major dents or abnormalities to exhaust tubing or components. Remember, all exhaust leaks are out of service criteria. When performing checks on your pump transfer case, there's two types of checks you want to do: a functional test and a visual check. While doing your in-cab pre-trip interior checks, perform a functional test, ensuring pump engages properly. Next, move out of the cab and check underneath the vehicle. Check for leaks around the pump case, the input and output seal. There will be water leaking from the pump packing, which is normal for this type of application. Check for any loose hardware. and that's all present. Ensure the fluid level at the sight glass at the back of the pump housing has sufficient oil, it's red in color and not pink. Pink would indicate that there's water in the pump trans oil. Moving to the rear axle, we want to ensure the axle is secure to the apparatus. Check the U-bolts, look for any loose hardware or missing hardware. You're looking for any bends or cracks to the axle housing itself. Check for excessive play in the pinion by rotating it left to right. And lastly, ensure your vent is unplugged and clear of debris. Moving to our fuel tank, we're going to ensure that the tank is secure and that all hardware is present. We're also inspecting for any leaks or damages to the bottom side of the fuel tank. We're checking, ensuring that all of our hoses and piping coming from our fuel neck to our gas tank or fuel tank, as well as going to the motor, are connected with no leaks. Prior to tilting the cab, ensure all loose items in the cab are secure, which may include SCBAs, radios, clipboards, and all other loose items. Prior to commencing any work under the cab, ensure the cab safety is in position. Once the cab has been tilted and secured, get a good general view of the cab compartment, looking for items of concern such as leaks or anything that might be out of position. Next, we're going to move to the inspection of our radiator. We want to inspect for there's no leaks, cracks in the cooling system. A point of leakage is usually around where the tanks conceal. Inspect all the radiator fins for any leakage or damage to the cores. Check the coolant for proper coolant level. If the radiator is greater than 100 degrees, do not open the cap. Check the recovery bottle only. Check for soft spots, chafing, and that all hardware and clamps are in position to the radiator. Ensure that the radiator fins are free of debris, and check the radiator cap for tightness. Next, we're going to move to the inspection of our fan. Perform these checks with the engine not running. Check for any cracked fan blades or missing fan blades. Also check for any excessive play or movement in the fan hub. Inspect the belt as well. When inspecting your belts, ensure all belts are present with no misalignment to the pulleys. Check all belts that there's no major cracks, fraying, or missing pieces from belt. Confirm that slack tension is no greater than 3/4 of an inch. Listen for any abnormal noises when motor is running. Next, we're going to move to our air compressor checks. While checking our air compressor, we want to ensure we have a good drive belt that has no cuts or frays. This is a gear-driven air compressor, so we want to ensure that any type of mechanisms attaching it is secure and there's no missing hardware. That all piping is secure and any hoses that go to and from the air compressor are not leaking or chafed. While the engine's running, listen for any abnormal noises while running. A damaged or missing air compressor belt is an out of service criteria. Next, we're going to move to our engine oil fluids. Remove the dipstick, wipe clean, reinsert dipstick. Ensure that it bottoms out and inspect for proper fluid level. Ensure that oil levels between the hash marks. If it is low, refill with proper grade of oil. If apparatus is equipped with other auxiliary motors, Check those fluid levels at this time too. For the purpose of filming this video, all checks with engine running will be checked with engine off. While checking the transmission fluid, the engine shall be running while in park or neutral at normal operating temperature with the wheels chocked. Remove the dipstick. Wipe, reinsert, and check for proper transmission fluid level. Ensure that it's between the hash marks. While the engine is still running, proceed to check your power steering fluid level. Same criteria with the engine at normal operating temperature, wheels chocked. Ensure that you're at the proper hash marks level. While the engine's still running and the motor's warm, check the power steering fluid. Ensure that you have the proper fluid level within the hash marks. Next, we're going to move to inspecting our frame rails. This applies from bumper to bumper of frame rails, both sides. While inspecting them, we're checking for cracks, bends, or missing hardware along the frame rail. We're also looking for any rusting or dusting around mounts and brackets indicating loose hardware. Paying close attention to cab mounts and spring hangers. Also look for wire or hose chafing along frame rails. This applies to a full length of the rail. Next, we're going to move to our batteries. We're going to ensure our batteries are secure and that all hardware is present. We're also going to confirm that our batteries have a full state of charge of 12 volts. We're going to inspect the tops of the batteries. They should be clean and free of debris or acid. Should there be a buildup of acid, use baking soda or an approved battery cleaner to clean the tops of the battery. Ensure all connections are tight. Should you find that the batteries are low on water, do not attempt to refill. Contact Fleet Services. Additionally, confirm that your onboard charging performance is working correctly. Moving to our alternator system, we want to check to ensure we have a good drive belt, that there's no cuts or frays, and that it's not missing. We're also inspecting all the hardware, ensuring that it's present. Check any wiring for fraying, heat checks, or any contact to metal. When running, listen for any abnormal noises and confirm alternator is producing greater than 13 volts while running. When inspecting the water pump, ensure drive belt is in good condition with no cuts or frays. Check for leaks around the water pump. Check drive hub if accessible for excessive play. A damaged or missing belt is an out of service criteria. Next, we're going to check the fluid level of our windshield washer fluid. Ensure that is properly filled to the max level.